Welcome back to our channel on this beautiful day. We're thrilled to bring you the latest, most exciting updates from Genoa. Certainly, viewers are heating up as Lily rages over Billy's out-of-control actions, which are turning everything into a mess. Jill Abbott forces Lily to take action and plan against Billy's dark schemes. The business and personal risks have never been higher, and we have all the shocking details right here for you. The atmosphere in Genoa City is thick, with an unprecedented level of tension, a suffocating calm before a catastrophic storm that threatens to level the most powerful dynasties in town. At the epicenter of this impending corporate apocalypse is the dramatic, unexpected return of Jill Abbott. Stepping out of the shadows and back into the unforgiving light of the Chancellor Winter's executive suites, Jill carries the heavy, invisible burden of a failing physical body and a deeply guarded illness. Yet her eyes burn with the fierce, unyielding fire of a matriarch who refuses to watch her legacy be burned to ash by her own flesh and blood. She has observed from afar as her son, Billy, spiraled into a toxic abyss of self-destruction. What dark, irreversible steps will a dying mother take to stop her son? Jill's strategic assessment of the battlefield reveals a horrifying reality. Billy is not just playing a dangerous game, he is actively orchestrating his own absolute ruin. She is acutely aware of the deeply chaotic state of his personal life. But for Jill, the personal tragedies are merely symptoms of a much more lethal disease. Billy's erratic, impulsive maneuvers at Chancellor Winter's have created massive, gaping vulnerabilities in the company's armor. By recklessly digging into historical corporate debts and attempting to overthrow the established leadership, Billy has destabilized the very foundation of the empire. Jill recognizes the terrifying pattern of addiction in her son, an addiction to absolute power. How far into this delusional abyss must Billy fall before he realizes he is standing on the edge of total annihilation? The most terrifying element of Billy's reckless crusade is not his own incompetence, but the apex predator waiting patiently in the shadows, Victor Newman. Jill Abbott knows Victor better than almost anyone in Genoa City. She understands his ruthless opportunism, his insatiable hunger for dominance, and his lethal ability to strike when his enemies are bleeding from within. Billy's chaotic insurgency at Chancellor Winter's is practically handing Victor the keys to the kingdom on a silver platter. By destabilizing the company and alienating his most powerful allies, Billy has created the perfect environment for a hostile Newman takeover. The thought of Catherine Chancellor's life's work falling into the hands of Victor Newman is a nightmare that Jill refuses to let materialize. Will Victor's looming shadow be the catalyst that forces the ultimate betrayal? Driven by the ticking clock of her own declining health and the terrifying urgency of Victor's impending strike, Jill orchestrates a highly secretive, high-stakes meeting with the one person who still holds enough power and influence to change the tide, Lily Winters. Summoning Lily to a secure, private location away from the prying eyes of Billy and his informants, Jill prepares to pass the heaviest burden imaginable onto the shoulders of the younger executive. When Lily arrives, she immediately senses the profound gravity of the situation. Jill does not waste time with pleasantries or corporate jargon. She looks Lily dead in the eye, her gaze a piercing combination of maternal desperation and calculating executive authority. Jill lays out the unvarnished, horrifying truth about Billy's psychological state. Can Lily comprehend the magnitude of the sacrifice Jill is asking her to make? In this emotionally charged confrontation, Jill forces Lily to look past her historical affection for Billy and see the terrifying reality of the monster he is becoming. Jill emphasizes that Billy's current obsession is not a phase. It is a lethal, terminal spiral that will inevitably result in the destruction of Chancellor Winters. She reminds Lily of the sacred trust placed in them by the late, great Catherine Chancellor and Neil Winters. This company is not merely a portfolio of assets, it is a living, breathing legacy built on blood, sweat, and profound sacrifices. Jill passionately argues that Lily has a moral and professional obligation to protect that legacy at all costs, even if it requires executing a deeply painful maneuver. Will Lily find the inner strength to wield the executioner's axe against her former lover? Jill's demand is clear, uncompromising, and brutally harsh. Lily must take immediate, decisive action to neutralize Billy Abbott. There is no room for negotiation, no time for gentle interventions, and absolutely no margin for error. Jill insists that Lily must corner Billy, strip away his delusions of grandeur, and deliver an ultimatum so severe that it shatters his reckless momentum. Jill knows that she cannot be the one to deliver this final blow. Her complex, historically fractured relationship with Billy would only fuel his paranoia and rebellion. But Lily, steady, respected, and fiercely protective of her family's legacy, has the unique psychological leverage required to pierce Billy's armor. Jill is essentially asking Lily to break Billy's heart and his ego. Can a mother's desperate, ruthless love truly be the weapon that saves a son? As Jill's words echo in the quiet room, Lily Winters finds herself plunged into a violent, agonizing internal war. Her mind races through the decades of complicated, deeply intertwined history she shares with Billy Abbott. She remembers the passionate love they once shared, the profound betrayals she endured, and the fragile, hard-won corporate partnership they had managed to build. A part of her heart still harbors a deep, lingering empathy for the broken man beneath the arrogant executive exterior. She knows the demons that haunt Billy, the deep-seated insecurities that drive his insatiable need to prove himself to his family. But as she listens to Jill's desperate arguments, the cold, undeniable truth begins to crystallize in Lily's mind. She realizes her empathy is exactly what Billy is weaponizing. Will Lily allow her sentimental attachments to drag her down into the abyss? The turning point in Lily's internal struggle comes when Jill explicitly outlines the catastrophic consequences of inaction. Jill paints a horrifying picture of a future where Chancellor Winters is decimated, stripped of its assets, and absorbed into the Newman machine, leaving Neil Winters' legacy in ruins. This vivid, apocalyptic vision strikes a profound chord within Lily, igniting a fierce, protective fire that burns away the remnants of her hesitation. She realizes that true leadership often requires committing acts of necessary cruelty, that protecting the many sometimes demands sacrificing the one. Lily's posture straightens, her eyes hardening into pools of dark, unforgiving determination. She understands that Jill is right. Billy cannot be saved with soft words or endless second chances. Is Lily finally ready to shed her compassion and become the ruthless CEO this war demands? With her resolve forged in the fires of Jill's desperate plea, Lily begins to meticulously construct her strategy. She knows that confronting Billy requires more than just anger. It requires a flawless, impenetrable psychological armor. She reviews the leverage she holds, the alliances she has quietly secured, and the undeniable facts of Billy's recent failures. Lily prepares for the confrontation like a general preparing for the final, decisive battle of a long and bloody war. She anticipates Billy's defenses, his arrogant deflection, his manipulative charm, his tendency to play the victim when cornered. She mentally rehearses her responses, stripping away any trace of emotion or vulnerability from her delivery. This cannot be a conversation between former lovers or old friends. It must be a cold, calculated execution of corporate justice. What hidden traps has Lily laid to ensure that Billy cannot escape this ultimate reckoning? The atmosphere is suffocatingly tense when Lily finally orchestrates the confrontation with Billy. She summons him to her office, a space she has intentionally arranged to project absolute authority and unyielding dominance. When Billy arrogantly strides through the doors, wearing his signature smirk and an air of misplaced confidence, Lily feels a brief, sharp pang of sorrow for the man he used to be. But she instantly crushes that emotion, replacing it with a wall of solid ice. Billy attempts to steer the conversation, launching into a charismatic monologue about his grand visions for Chancellor, his impending victory over the legal hurdles, and his delusional belief that he is the undisputed savior of the company. Lily lets him speak, watching him dig his own grave with every arrogant, misguided word. She is waiting for the precise, perfect moment to drop the hammer. How will Billy react when he realizes he has walked blindly into a meticulously designed psychological slaughterhouse? Cutting through Billy's manic monologue with a voice as sharp and cold as a scalpel, Lily finally unleashes the full, devastating force of her wrath. She does not yell, she does not plead. She speaks with a quiet, terrifying intensity that instantly sucks the air out of the room. Lily systematically dismantles Billy's delusions, laying out the undeniable evidence of his destructive behavior, his reckless provocations of Victor Newman, and the catastrophic danger he has placed them all in. She exposes his actions, not as the brilliant maneuvers of a visionary leader, but as the desperate, erratic flailing of a man completely out of control. Billy's smirk vanishes, replaced by a look of profound shock and rising panic as he realizes that Lily is not bluffing. She has entirely stripped away the protective layers of their shared history. Will Billy attempt to fight back against this overwhelming assault, or will he crumble under the weight of his own undeniable failures? The climax of the confrontation arrives when Lily delivers the final, crushing blow. Leaning forward, her eyes locked onto Billy's with lethal precision, she issues a definitive, non-negotiable ultimatum. She demands that Billy immediately cease all reckless actions, abandon his dangerous, obsessive crusade to claim Chancellor, and completely halt his suicidal provocations of Victor Newman. If he refuses, if he takes even one more step down this destructive path, Lily promises to sever every single tie between them. She vows to cut him out of Chancellor Winters permanently, to publicly denounce his leadership, and to obliterate any remaining personal relationship they share. She makes it abundantly clear that she will not hesitate to destroy him professionally and personally in order to save the company. The silence that follows her declaration is deafening, a heavy, oppressive void that threatens to crush Billy's spirit. What dark, unpredictable choice will Billy make now that his back is firmly pressed against the wall? As Lily's devastating ultimatum hangs in the air, the true gravity of the situation begins to violently settle over Genoa City. Jill Abbott, waiting in the shadows, knows that the fuse has been lit and the explosion is imminent. She has played her final, most desperate card, forcing Lily to become the ultimate barrier between Billy and total annihilation. The fate of Chancellor Winters, the legacy of Catherine Chancellor, and the very survival of the Abbott name now rest entirely on Billy's next move. Will he experience a profound, miraculous awakening, recognizing the error of his ways and stepping back from the ledge? Or will his deeply ingrained arrogance, fueled by his insatiable hatred for Victor Newman, drive him to reject Lily's warning and plunge headfirst into a scorched earth war he cannot possibly win? The battle lines have been irrevocably drawn, and the corporate landscape of Genoa City will never be the same again. Who will emerge victorious from the ashes of this unprecedented, apocalyptic conflict?